An ant crawls toward Pele and slips inside his pants while he is hiding in the bushes. At first, he only feels a small itch. When things seem safe, he stands up and steps out from his hiding spot. As he walks, he becomes distracted by an abandoned house standing right in front of him. Then suddenly, the ant that crawled inside his clothes makes its way up to his neck and bites him. The sting makes him instantly slap at his neck, trying to crush whatever just attacked him. The next morning at breakfast, something feels very wrong. The milk carton sticks tightly to his hand, and he actually needs his father's help to pull it off. When he grabs a glass of juice, he squeezes too hard, and the glass shatters in his grip. His parents assume the glass was already cracked, but Pell begins to realize that something about him has changed. Later at school during PE class, the teacher explains the rules of a game. Anyone who falls, steps out of bounds, or drops their stick automatically loses. The teacher deliberately picks Pell, assuming he is the weakest student, even though Pell tries to refuse. Confident that it will be an easy demonstration, the teacher challenges him directly. What no one expects is that Pell easily dodges every move. With a single strike, he sends the teacher flying. From that moment on, no one underestimates him again. Because the Pele standing there now is no longer weak. But it was not always like this. Before everything changed, Pell was known as a quiet 12-year-old who never saw himself as special. He felt small and insignificant, like just another ant in a colony.
Hey guys, hold. Super.
After a class photo one day, he notices a girl who catches his attention. Her name is Amanda. They are classmates, yet Pele is convinced she probably does not even realize he exists. In the group photo, only the top of his head is visible, hidden behind the others. No one seems to notice him at all. In class, the teacher assigns a group project. Amanda turns around and waves. Pele smiles and stands up, thinking she is calling him, but she is actually waving to someone sitting behind him. Once again, he fades into the background. When school ends, students rush outside. Pell sits alone, eating an apple, when he suddenly hears shouting nearby. He follows the noise and sees a boy being bullied by two others. Without thinking twice, Pell throws his half-eaten apple at them. The bullies quickly realize he is the one who threw it, and they chase after him. Pella runs as fast as he can and hides in the bushes. Eventually, they lose his trail. While hiding there, a black ant bites him. This time, the bite is stronger. Pell collapses and loses consciousness, and from that single bite, everything begins. Welcome to Antboy. As Pell slowly regains consciousness, he sees someone approaching him. His vision is blurry, and before he can make out who it is, he passes out again. When he finally wakes up, it is already dark. He gets to his feet and heads home. The moment he arrives, his mother asks what he has been doing and who he has been with. He casually says he was studying and playing with friends. Satisfied, she tells him to come inside and eat. Later in his room, Pell feels the familiar loneliness creeping in. It seems to him that no one really notices or cares about him. That night, he dreams about swarms of ants surrounding him. He tosses and turns in his sleep, clearly disturbed, as if something bad is about to happen. The next morning, he wakes up with food stuck around his mouth. Even stranger, the floor of his room is covered with crumbs and scattered leftovers, as if he had been eating in his sleep. That afternoon, on his way home from school, the boy he once saved from being bullied runs after him. The boy wants to know how Pell suddenly became so strong during PE class. He throws out wild theories. Maybe Pell is part of a secret government experiment. Maybe he was struck by lightning. Maybe he is a mutant or bitten by a radioactive spider. Pelle denies all of it. The boy introduces himself as Wilhelm. He promises not to tell anyone if Pelle turns out to be a superhero. He even hands Pelle a book titled Hero, clearly thrilled by the idea. But Pelle suddenly notices something else. Across the street, a man is unloading items from a car and staring directly at him. The man's face looks unsettling. Pelle snaps out of it and quickly walks away, leaving Wilhelm behind. That night, the same man is seen studying a newspaper with a photo of Amanda, who is connected to a company called Exopharms. Soon after, Pelle shows up at Wilhelm's place while Wilhelm is reading one of his favorite superhero comics. Pelle admits that he was bitten by an ant and asks for help. For the first time, he seems ready to accept that something unusual has happened to him. Wilhelm is instantly excited. He invites Pelle inside and begins explaining superhero powers and weaknesses with impressive confidence. It is clear that Wilhelm knows a lot about this world. He opens his computer and researches the strengths and weaknesses of ants. After watching a video, he asks Pelle to bite into a book. To their surprise, Pelle easily tears into it. They test his sense of smell next, since ants are known for their sharp scent detection. Before long, they start working on a costume. Wilhelm takes charge of sewing it himself, proving he is more talented than anyone expected. Soon, Pelle is standing by a window wearing a makeshift outfit. complete with a helmet, elbow pads, knee pads, and even cushions strapped around his stomach and waist for protection. Wilhelm watches from below. Since male ants can sometimes fly, they decide to test that ability. Pelle jumps, hoping for lift, but instead crashes down. It seems not every ant is meant to take to the air. Back in his room, Pelle starts trying on different masks and costume ideas, but none of them feel right. So Wilhelm decides to order a proper suit online. Pelle sketches the kind of mask he wants, and Wilhelm carefully makes it himself. When the package finally arrives and they combine the store-bought suit with Wilhelm's custom mask, the result looks surprisingly impressive. Next comes the big question: what should he be called? Wilhelm throws out names like Ant-Man and Pigman, but Pelle suggests Antboy. The name sticks, and just like that, a new superhero is born. Later, the two of them wait around in a parking lot, hoping something exciting will happen. Pelle is getting hungry after waiting so long, but Wilhelm insists they stay until a crime appears. When Wilhelm steps away to grab food, Pelle suddenly hears a woman calling for help. Without hesitation, he opens his jacket and runs after the thief. When he finally confronts him, the robber mocks his costume and treats him like a kid playing dress-up. Nervous and unsure of himself, Antboy struggles to sound confident. It is clear he is still getting used to this whole superhero thing. The robber tries to intimidate him, stepping closer as Antboy backs away. Then something unexpected happens. As he moves backward, Antboy begins climbing up the wall without even realizing it. The sight is enough to make the robber panic. Antboy quickly gives chase when the robber tries to escape. This time, he manages to catch him. When asked who he is, Pelle proudly reveals his new identity for the first time. Soon the police arrive to take the robber away. The man excitedly describes what he saw and mentions the name Antboy. Wilhelm, overhearing this, is stunned that the name is already spreading. Pelle then shows off his wall-crawling ability to Wilhelm, but when he tries to climb again, his hands and feet refuse to stick. The power seems inconsistent. Back at Wilhelm's house, they try to figure out why. Wilhelm realizes that ants get their energy from sugar, which means Pelle needs fuel. He prepares a stash of candy and even designs a belt filled with chocolate so Pelle can recharge anytime. He also gives him special gloves for using his phone and a communication device connected to it. Before long, Antboy becomes a media sensation. News outlets talk about the mysterious young hero helping people around town. For the first time in his life, Pelle feels noticed. Antboy becomes an idol. He saves people outside of school and stands up to bullies inside it. The students even put on a musical about him. Pelle feels happier than ever, almost unstoppable. But Wilhelm sees things differently. He pulls Pelle aside and reminds him that being a superhero is about responsibility, not popularity. He believes Pelle is enjoying the attention too much. Pelle brushes it off, convinced that even if people do not care about him, they care about Antboy. After that, he walks away, leaving Wilhelm worried about where all this fame might lead. The story then shifts to Amanda, the girl Pelle has admired for so long. She is in her room decorating an Antboy poster with stickers, clearly a fan of the new hero. But she grows annoyed by the loud music blasting from her sister Ada's room. The two sisters could not be more different. Amanda is calm and graceful, while Ada is bold and outspoken. As Amanda looks into her mirror, she suddenly notices a man standing outside her window. She turns and screams. Ada rushes in after hearing the noise. But she is too late. From the window, she sees her sister being taken away. The next day at school, the teacher announces that Amanda and Ida are absent because Amanda is supposedly sick. Hearing this, Pelle feels uneasy and saddened. Suddenly, someone appears to be hanging from the school building, calling for help. Antboy quickly climbs the wall to rescue them, only to discover it is a doll. It turns out Ada staged the scene so she could meet Antboy and ask for help. Ada shows him a video that was sent to her father. In the footage, Amanda is trapped inside a glass box. The kidnapper identifies himself as Flea and warns them not to contact the police. He demands 20 million euros and insists that Amanda's father step down as director of Exofarms. Antboy wants to know who Flea is, but Ada has no idea. She explains that her father is not wealthy enough to simply pay the ransom. Then she reminds Antboy that saving people is what superheroes are meant to do. Without thinking, Antboy blurts out that he and Wilhelm will handle it. Ida immediately grows curious, but Antboy quickly leaves. She insists on joining, yet he refuses. Later, Antboy goes to Wilhelm's house and nervously asks him not to get angry. Ida suddenly appears beside him, having managed to follow him there. Wilhelm is surprised but invites them both inside. He warns that bringing Ida into this could ruin everything, especially if she discovers Antboy's true identity. After some tension between the three of them, they begin analyzing the kidnapper's video. Wilhelm clashes with Ada again, comparing powerful business figures to classic comic book villains who appear respectable but secretly crave control. Eventually, Antboy and Aida continue the discussion without Wilhelm. They consider who might benefit from taking over Exofarms and its factory outside the city. Ada explains that the company produces vaccines and conducts secret research, though even she does not know the full details. Her father has only said that they are trying to cure serious diseases. The trio starts reviewing photos of people they suspect could be involved. Suddenly, Antboy catches a familiar scent. He notices Amanda's necklace in Ada's hand and realizes he can track her by smell. Using the scent from the necklace as a clue, the three of them set out to find Amanda. Following the scent, they arrive at an old house that once belonged to Mrs. Gemmelcrow. This is the very place where Pele was bitten and gained his powers. The house has been empty since her death, and Wilhelm explains that she was not discovered until weeks later. Ada shares unsettling stories about the place, enough to make both boys nervous. Still, Antboy knows he has no choice. Amanda is inside somewhere. He circles the house and heads for the basement entrance, but the door is locked with a heavy padlock. Thinking quickly and quite accidentally, he discovers that his acidic urine can corrode the metal. The lock gives way, and he slips inside. The atmosphere changes immediately. The basement looks less like an abandoned space and more like a hidden laboratory. Through his earpiece, Wilhelm's voice suddenly crackles to life, asking what he sees. Antboy mentions the cold inside. Wilhelm and Ida warn him to be careful, reminding him that Flea could be nearby. Then the signal cuts out. Antboy moves deeper into the room, noticing animals, glowing computer screens, microscopes, and scientific equipment. It becomes clear that this is indeed a working lab. Finally, he finds Amanda trapped inside a sealed glass box. She is just a few feet away, but the chamber is soundproof, and they cannot hear each other. Out of nowhere, Flea appears and traps Antboy inside another glass box beside hers. He activates a switch that allows his voice to be heard. Flea reveals his story. He was once a biochemist at Exofarms, researching a rare ant species called Formicoaxylon. He believed this species could cure devastating diseases. To harness its healing properties, he developed something called the Hercules serum. In his first experiment, he injected his own mother, Mrs. Gammelcrow. According to him, her tumor began shrinking, proving the serum worked. But Somerset, the director of Exofarms, cared only about profit. The research was shut down. Despite Flea's anger and threats, the project was abandoned. His mother died, and from that moment on, he began planning his revenge. Instead of continuing with ants, Flea experimented on himself using a different species, blood-feeding head lice. The transformation gave him strength, and the more blood he consumes, the stronger he becomes. He even explains that Pell was bitten by the final, genetically engineered Hercules ant. Then he turns personal. He claims Amanda only admires Antboy and barely notices Pelle Norman. He mocks Wilhelm as nothing more than a comic book-obsessed sidekick. He questions whether Pell is truly the kind of friend or hero anyone would choose. The words hit hard. Antboy falls silent, shaken by the attack on his identity. In the distance, police sirens begin to wail. Flea says he understands Pell better than anyone. He calls him a small, cowardly ant who will eventually be crushed. Then as the police close in, Flea prepares to leave. He escapes by taking to the air, vanishing just as officers arrive. After the confrontation, Antboy is left alone with Flea's words echoing in his mind. The insults cut deeper than he wants to admit. He begins to wonder if Flea was right. Why risk his life for people who barely notice him? Maybe he really is just a small ant who only wanted to feel big, strong, and loved. For the first time, he feels like that dream is over. He just wants to be Pelle Norman again and forget that Antboy ever existed. Meanwhile, Wilhelm is questioned by the police, and the director of Exofarms holds Amanda tightly after her rescue. Ada looks up and sees Antboy standing silently on a rooftop, distant and troubled. Back at home, Pelle feels defeated. He believes he failed. Wilhelm insists they cannot give up while Flea is still out there. But Pelle snaps. If Wilhelm cares so much, then he can be Antboy. Pelle hands over the mask, and Wilhelm takes it without hesitation. Soon, Wilhelm is the one wearing the Antboy mask, while Pelle sits quietly by his bedroom window, lost in thought. At school, Pelle goes back to his old routine. He sits alone against the wall, just like before he ever became a hero. He watches Amanda talking with her friends, still feeling invisible. Then everything changes. A loud rumble shakes the building. Panic spreads as students rush outside. Wilhelm runs to Pelle and tells him Flea is attacking the school. Pelle refuses to get involved and walks away, saying it is no longer his problem. Wilhelm, determined, grabs an insect spray and puts on the Antboy mask. He prepares to face Flea on his own. Not long after, Flea appears and spots the masked figure. Believing he has found Antboy, he captures Wilhelm. Outside, Pelle overhears someone saying that Antboy just saved them. Realizing something is wrong, he begins searching for Wilhelm. He runs through the school but cannot find him. Then he notices a fake Antboy costume left in the drama classroom. Elsewhere, Flea continues taunting Wilhelm, still thinking he has the real hero. Suddenly, Pella storms in wearing the true Antboy suit. Flea is caught off guard. The disguise is exposed and the roles become clear. Flea lashes out, grabbing Wilhelm and threatening him. In the middle of the chaos, Antboy's stomach growls, revealing he is low on sugar again. Sensing weakness, Flea attacks and knocks him down, pressing his advantage. Desperate, Antboy spots a refrigerator nearby. He rushes to it, grabs something sweet and drinks. Almost instantly, his strength returns. Flea reacts quickly and grabs Wilhelm again. This time he escapes, carrying Wilhelm away and heading toward the forest. Students watch in shock as Wilhelm is taken through the air. Antboy takes off running, with Ada close behind, both determined not to lose him. Antboy jumps onto a bicycle and speeds off toward the forest. When Antboy reaches the forest, the first thing he finds is Wilhelm's glasses lying on the side of the road. Deeper in the woods, he discovers Wilhelm tied up. Before he can react, Flea suddenly appears. Antboy charges forward but stumbles and falls. Then an idea strikes him. As Flea searches for him, he spots Antboy lying motionless on the ground. Confident, Flea grabs him, only to realize he is holding nothing but an empty costume and mask. Moments later, Antboy's voice calls out from somewhere else. Flea mocks him, questioning why anyone would risk their life for someone weak. But this time, the words have no effect. Antboy stands firm and fires back, making it clear he no longer believes Flea's insults. Preparing to regain his strength, Flea turns to a tank behind him, ready to drink more blood. What he does not notice is Wilhelm quietly opening the valve. The blood begins to drain away. The final clash begins. Both of them sprint toward each other, using every bit of power they have left. Flea is thrown back, falls, and struggles to rise again, weaker now that his supply is running out. Antboy points out that Flea's greatest weakness is not just his empty tank, but the fact that he stands alone. Flea makes one last attempt to move forward, but Antboy lifts him and throws him down for good. Wilhelm rushes over, grateful and relieved. Soon after, the news reports that Flea has been arrested for kidnapping Amanda and attacking the school. Later, Antboy visits Amanda in her room and reminds her to keep her window closed for safety. She has clearly been waiting for him and is thankful for everything he has done. As she leans in, expecting a romantic moment, Antboy turns his attention elsewhere. He returns her necklace instead. Ada soon enters the room, and Amanda leaves, frustrated. Ada asks what Antboy is doing there. He explains that he wanted to thank her for her help. Then Ada reveals that she knows who he really is. She promises to keep his secret. Before leaving, Pelle is asked if they can be friends. He smiles and agrees. In the final moments, Pelle is seen washing his dog when Wilhelm arrives with ideas for a new superhero upgrade. Pelle is content with who he is now. Wilhelm hints that the upgrade is not for him, but that maybe he needs a partner. Pelle quickly assumes he means Ida, then realizes he may have said too much. He wonders out loud whether Antboy is still needed now that Flea is gone. Wilhelm believes that heroes like Antboy are always needed, and with that, the story comes to an end. So the moral of the story is, if an ant crawls into your pants, maybe check it out first, because you might get superpowers, a sugar addiction, and a blood-sucking nemesis who really needs therapy.